This episode of Rookie Hunter is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation. Adventures in sheep country can change your life, and as residents of BC, we're very fortunate to have 3 different species of sheep in our province. After attending the Wild Sheep Foundation's annual convention, Sheep Show, in Reno, Nevada, we got to see what conservation looks like firsthand. The Wild Sheep Foundation's ability to raise and put millions of dollars on the ground each year to keep these majestic animals on the mountaintops worldwide is unmatched. The Wild Sheep family is a diverse group of people from all walks of life, and membership is open to anyone. Whether you're a seasoned pro, it's your first time on the mountain, or you just like to see sheep on the hillside, you can sign up and join today. Kelly and I are lifetime members, but you can become an annual member for just $45. You can also become a member of the Less Than One Club, which is the only club you want to get kicked out of. If you've never taken a North American or international ram, you can join us in the Less Than One Club for an extra $25. Plus, Less Than One Club membership also includes entry into a draw for 3 separate Doll sheep hunts, which will be given away at Sheep Show in 2019. For more information on the Wild Sheep Foundation and to become a member, head over to wildsheepfoundation.org. This episode of Rookie Hunter was also brought to you by North Arm Knives. North Arm Knives are handcrafted and sold directly through a father and son team right here in British Columbia. Choose from a selection of outdoor knives, kitchen knives, and custom engravings from northarmknives.com. They ship internationally and guarantee all of their work. Kelly and I have put their products to the ultimate test and give them our stamp of approval. Head over to northarmknives.com. Hey guys, welcome to episode 79. This is a very special episode of Rookie Hunter. This is the spotlight on our central BC moose hunt. For those of you that have been listening for a while, you know we've been weaving conversations into previous episodes throughout the year, and you'll also know that this has been a tough hunt for us to wrap our heads around. Kelly and I had conflicting ideas about what this hunt was and what it meant to us. We also had some uncomfortable conversations between the two of us that took place behind the scenes as well. So there was a lot of weight going into this hunt, but what we decided to do was put that all aside and go into this hunt with an open mind and see what we all learned from it. So we were joined by my brother-in-law, Kevin Snider, who you've heard on the podcast a number of times, and also Kyle Scott, who you'll get to know throughout this episode. The original plan was for each of us to be doing updates in the field. We split it into 2 hunting parties for the most part. Kevin and I were out together, and Kyle and Kelly were out in their own neck of the woods during this hunt, but unfortunately Kelly and Kyle didn't get much for updates. So what I decided to do was near the end of this hunt was write down a list of questions for each of us to answer on our own. So I gave each guy this list of questions, gave them a recorder, and told them to go out wherever they wanted and record their answers to these questions. In the end, I actually think this was a better way to capture our overall feelings of this hunt. I hope you guys dig it. So Kevin and I did manage to capture some updates, and we'll kick off the episode with some of those. Also captured some sights and sounds and sprinkled those throughout the episode as well. This hunt for me started with a 5K run, which is where we'll start, and from there Kevin and I will hop in the car, head north, and eventually land in a canoe later that same evening. Thanks, man.
Congratulations!
Thanks.
Oh, I guess we can be official and give you the medal. Over
Oh,
here.
sure.
I'm a newbie to the race system.
Coming across the line.
Hey, thank you.
Congratulations!
Hey, good job. Yeah.
Good job!
Thank you. Nice work, man. Good job.
Congratulations!
Nice work. Running something that's been important to me for the past couple years. It's not something I've always done, but when I run these races, I'm typically thinking about hunts, which might sound odd, but but signing up for these races holds me accountable to do training and push myself both mentally and physically, puts myself in positions I don't necessarily want to be in. And I'm happy to say I've done well. I've medaled in all the races I've taken part in this year. And I have hunting to thank for that. I don't know if I would be doing these runs otherwise. It's that added incentive to get outside, to stay in shape, and to push myself as far as I can. But this episode is about a moose hunt. So let's hop in the car with Kevin and I. And from there, we'll land at the lake and in a canoe late at night. Showtime. Got enough room?
Yep.
Nice. Let's get the fuck out of here. Which route is the fastest? Somewhat. If we go Merritt Way, let's see what.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was weird. I always go like Kamloops.
Yeah, Merritt.
Weird.
Yeah.
All right. Man, how could there not be a moose back here? Kev, we made it.
We're here. Day's finally here.
Yeah, man. Describe our surroundings right now. And the time of day.
Yeah, what do we think? It's about 9:30 right now, and we're in the middle of the lake, a lake in a canoe in central BC.
Yeah, so probably not the best idea, but we just paddled down this. There's a bit of a stream that it goes for quite a ways out of here, eh? I didn't even follow it like when I was looking at the map. Like I just kept following it and following it. It just keeps going forever and ever. So I don't even know how far this thing goes. But we'll.
Yeah, I think quite a ways. We could paddle for a long time.
Yeah, and I think just based on the distance that we went in, there's not a whole lot of current, so we can go way the fuck down there and still be able to paddle back out, which is pretty awesome. And there's another one off the other end of the lake too that we could check out.
Yeah, either way, I think we're in some good area.
Yeah, the one that we just checked out though, there's some pretty open areas that go alongside of it, so hopefully that'll work to our advantage.
Yeah, be able to see a long ways.
Yeah. Camp's pretty sweet. There's some other guys there. We pulled up and kind of worried because we come up and there's like a truck and a wall tent and like it doesn't even look like you can get past. And luckily there's still two spots. They kind of made their own spot, which adds a third site to this place, so there's no problem. Got lucky. How many guys do you think were there? 4 at least?
Yeah, I'd say 4.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, should we paddle back to shore? And
Yeah, it is. I am pretty chilly out here.
yeah, we should get moving.
Got a fire
Get the
going.
blood flowing. Yep. Easy does it. After finding our way back to camp in the dark, we got ourselves set up and hit the hay. Got up nice and early for day one. And after day one, we were waiting for the boys to roll in. They would have been well on their way up to the lake at this point. Kevin and I found an old trapper's cabin and decided to set up the recorder and just talk a bit about our day and our surroundings.
3:45. Day one. What did we get up to today, Kev? It's been a long day already.
It has, yeah. Need a nap. Almost had a nap a couple times.
Almost. Take me through the morning.
Well, we had to get up pretty early to beat the other group out of our campsite.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on having neighbors?
Not ideal.
But kind of expected to.
Yeah.
Do you think we could even avoid it if we went somewhere else? Probably not.
No, I think it's hard. Like, we chose a government forestry site, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's to be expected, but if we found a spot just off the road in the middle of nowhere, it's probably, I mean, we could avoid it, but
Like, when you're dealing with this much road access, you're kind of, like, there's no way to get away from hunters, right?
no, this.
So it's like, this is almost probably the best case scenario, because at least we can talk to them and be like, hey, if you guys are going south, we're going north. They didn't seem to be too keen on having us around, but really, we're not going to run into each other.
No. And
So-
I guess, I don't know. At least they sort of initiated the conversation
Yeah,
this
for
morning.
sure.
And
But we beat them out here.
yeah, I mean, really, I think that's what it is going to come down to is,
Yeah, first come, first serve.
yeah,
They got here yesterday too, so they don't have that much seniority over us.
no. Now that seniority factors in here.
Yeah. Take me from there, Kev.
So again, we, just like last night, we found ourselves paddling across the lake in the dark. And we got into the same channel that we were in last night and got about as far as we could go when we hit a beaver dam. So
Yeah, which was too bad. Because it's pretty nice paddling through there.
it's beautiful. Yeah. Then once we stopped, we did some bushwhacking. We tried to find some openings and clearings where we could see farther than 15 feet ahead of us.
Yeah, 15 feet if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. We came into an elk bed, actually. And then I started doing some cow calling for moose. And we heard some elk bugles in response.
It was unbelievable. I wasn't expecting at all to
No, it threw
come
me
across
off.
elk or elk sign or
No.
let alone hear a bugle up here.
Yeah. So we heard it bugle, and it was quiet for a while. I did a couple more cow calls, and then not too long after, we started to hear a coyote. A coyote or a wolf? It's hard to...
I would guess wolf based on the sign that we saw not too far
It
from there.
didn't
later
really
on.
sound like a... It was howling like a... I don't know.
It sounded like a dog barking
Yeah.
to me, but
There was a lot of noise going on, so I don't know. That elk might have had a rough morning. I'm not too sure. But we didn't hear anything after that.
no. And then later on when we got up onto the road and we came across all the elk tracks.
Yeah, as we were bushwhacking, we were trying to get to a clearing again so we could see, and then all of a sudden we stumbled onto a logging road. And lots of tracks on the road, actually, which was encouraging.
Yeah, like a small herd of elk,
Mm-hmm.
and then some moose as well.
Yep. A whole whack of grouse. How many? We probably saw 8 grouse, I would guess.
Yeah,
We didn't have a 22.
all together.
Yeah, and then there was another one up the road there too. And then we had we studied the maps pretty good, and we knew that there was like a pretty nice, would you call that a marsh or a bog or a wetland? What category would that fall into?
Yeah, any of those I think would
Yeah.
be fine.
It was pretty wide and open, lots of water, pretty swampy in there. And we were gonna try bushwhacking, but I don't know, I had enough bushwhacking at that point. But as we were walking back, we found a sweet little trail. I don't know, what do you think that was from? Just an old road at one point? Or?
Yeah, like an old logging spur or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Super grown in, but right at the entry, like right off the road, there's a whole bunch of moose scat there. So that was a good sign. And we followed that thing down. I don't know, how long was that trail?
Oh, I don't know, half kilometer?
Yes, if that. And then it opened up right into the area that we were trying to get into. So that was pretty lucky to find that trail. And it looks just like a friggin' highway for moose down there, based on all the
Yeah, there was
tracks
trails.
and-
Yeah.
everywhere. So
Would have been nice to be able to see a little bit further still, but
Yeah, for sure. You just can't get high enough anywhere.
yeah, and the grassy areas was nice, but then you get the willows growing up to like 10 feet tall where you can't see through them.
Yeah,
and
those
can't move through them or anything.
brutal. But we managed to find a decent spot. Well, you took sort of the south-ish end, and I took the north end, and we did some glassing
Yep.
and some calling. You were hearing some thrashing and shit out here.
Yeah, a couple times, quite a ways off, but just some breaking branches, something heavy breaking some thick pieces of wood.
Yeah. Oh, here comes this guy's in their little pontoon boat. Where are they off to?
We're headed to our channel.
Hey, that's our end of the lake, assholes.
no, he's coming over here.
Oh, never mind. Maybe we're in trouble, Kev.
Hope these guys aren't listening to this later on.
They might hear it. Anyways, got the radio on. Or do I? Is it fucking... Yep, it's on. And so if the guys call us, it'd be nice. But, describe our current surroundings, Kev.
We're sitting on a bank above the lake, on I guess the east side of the lake, looking west. The sun's starting to drop in the sky a little bit, but looking out towards the lake and the peninsula across from us. Behind us, there's an old trapper's cabin or something, like a log cabin that's all caved in. And then there's a newer cabin that's been built up behind it that it's kind of a trapper style.
Yeah.
Not sure who it's for or whose it is, but it
Seems like it's open to anybody. There's a whole bunch of people wrote on the wall and shit like that. Just kind of checking in.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to sleep in there unless I was really hurt. And if you were lost and you found that thing, it would be the best ever.
Yeah.
But if you didn't want to sleep in there, you would have.
No, I think you might be sharing a mattress with the mouse family that's burrowed into it.
It looks pretty gross. But there's a shitter back there, and there's a wood stove inside the cabin. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it could be a great place to save someone's life if they came across that.
Yeah, totally. Oh, not bad, Kev. Not bad.
No, it's beautiful. It's nice and warm in the sun. It's
Yeah,
a little
it is.
shady in our campsite.
Yeah, it's
pretty
cold.
chilly
and
in there.
It's like a cold, damp little hole in there. Every once in a while, you feel like a bit of a warm breeze just hits you in the face, which is nice, but yeah, it's cold in there. So this side of the lake seemed like a good idea.
Yeah, whoever planned that campsite in that spot needs to give their head a shake.
Just totally. We'll paddle around some more.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So Kelly and Kyle did show up later that evening, got themselves set up and settled in there. The following day, two groups, myself and Kevin, and Kyle and Kelly, headed out into separate regions of the area. Both of us in the canoe. At the end of the day, we all got together around the campfire and just talked a bit about our day.
Glad I got that out of the way.
That's recording. You mean the microphone? You just blew it over.
Jeez. Well, boys, welcome. We haven't done an update with you yet.
Was it day 2?
Yeah, day 2
Day
for
2
you
for
guys,
us.
day 3 for Kevin and I. Since you didn't do an update for yesterday, what'd you guys get up to?
We jumped in the canoe early, went across the lake. Basically went on the opposite side of the lake than you guys.
Yeah, the first time in the canoe for both you guys?
Yeah,
How'd it go?
it was fine.
Yeah.
I was
Stayed upright.
That's good.
Yeah.
You didn't get wet.
just like, don't move. Yeah, I thought it was cool. It's amazing how quiet it is.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
So yeah, then we jumped out of the canoe. We did a loop, bushwhacked. Kind of ended up edging up on some, what was that, willow or something?
Yeah, miserable.
Some we couldn't get through. So we just did a big loop, came down. And then we moved again and then walked down the creek and had to cross numerous beaver dams.
Yeah.
Almost went for a swim.
I almost bit it. I was traversing the top of this beaver dam and kind of like, one foot slipped and I looked up like I was gonna grab onto Kyle, and then I realized he was 15 feet away. I thought he was right in front of me. I was looking at my feet. Although that wouldn't have been good either. We
No.
both would have went down. There's nothing else to grab onto. But yeah, I made it through that. But yeah, it's just hard going. Like, you can't get through this stuff. It's just thick. It's heavy, kind of old growth.
Loud.
And,
Everything is
yeah,
super,
super
loud.
loud.
Yeah, you're not sneaking up on anything. We did see some sign. We saw some droppings and a lot of tracks, but yeah, you're not going to sneak up on anything in there.
No.
And then what did we do? We came back for lunch.
Yeah, paddled back, came for lunch.
And
Hopped
jumped
on
on
the
the
quad.
quad.
Yep.
Found some cuts.
Yeah.
Just
Lot
tried
easier.
to cover ground.
Yeah, a lot easier to cover ground that way.
Yeah. And then we hiked into a couple different lakes and creeks. But I think that's the beauty of that. Well, whether it's jumping in the truck or on the quad and getting to a spot on the map that you kind of think is a good spot, and then you can hike from there. Because if you were to just hike everywhere from camp, you're pretty limited.
Oh yeah, I think we've kind of done what we can do from here.
Yeah.
It involves bushwhacking, no matter what. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kevin and I did 2 days of getting to a pretty cool spot. It was like an hour and a half of bushwhacking. Well, not bushwhacking. It was only about
45 minutes
45
or so.
minutes of getting through some rough shit. Some of it's not too bad. Once you get through the real thick stuff, it opens up a little bit more. But
You can never find the same path back.
No.
So yesterday morning it was actually pretty decent getting through it because we found a nice followed milk trail. But then on the way back we couldn't follow the same route back and got stuck and all that.
that was my fault.
Shit.
Today was kind of cool.
Yeah.
You went and showed us the lake that you guys went into yesterday. But it was like a slash area that they're burning that's kind of smoldering, and just I guess the cold air probably pulls all that smoke straight down there in the morning, so that was kind of unpleasant.
We saw a moose, but it was just a skull and a spine.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to that thing. Wolves or bear, maybe?
Yeah, if I had to guess, I'd probably say wolf. Just based on the amount of wolf shit we've seen around here. What did we do after that? We first hiked into like a little marsh or swamp kind of thing, and then opens up into a pretty big lake there. A decent size anyways, which looks like it should be, like if you think of like perfect moose area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd
that
be
was
it.
it for sure.
Yeah.
But and lots of game trails and shit all over the place in there. But No scat anywhere. That was fresh.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even know if I saw any moose scat
I think
there.
I did.
I thought we were in a cool spot, though, because there was 2 ponds.
Yeah.
And we were right in the middle. So we actually should have had one guy looking like both ways, which we did there for a bit.
I went on the other side for quite a
Yeah.
while there, yeah. When the wind
And
changed.
then Kevin was calling quite a bit. You've got that nailed.
Took a few days.
Yeah.
That little moany grunt at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what gets him going wild.
Yeah. Very sensual.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I think it seems like the best plan is just to keep branching out, and eventually we'll zero in on a right spot.
Yeah. It'd be nice to find a spot that had some actual sign, like droppings and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once we find that, Kev's calling is going to be fucking perfect,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we'll call in a big one.
Sounds like a plan.
Check in tomorrow.
Cheers.
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 So, as I mentioned in the intro, I wrote down a list of questions and gave those same questions to each guy in our hunting party. I instructed them to find a spot to record wherever they wanted to do that and send them off with a recorder. So, myself,
I'm out in the canoe, just floating around in the middle of the lake. I'm about to crash into a log here.
Mr. Kelly Molnar,
Currently sitting on the lake, glassing a area up on the mountainside here.
my brother-in-law, Kevin Snider,
In the middle of our marshy meadow, slough, whatever you want to call it. It seems like the perfect spot.
and Kyle Scott.
Right now, sitting down by the lake, enjoying a warm morning coffee on a freezing cold morning. Nice lake view, looking out at the logging, clear cuts. Yeah, it's a beautiful view. It's definitely a nice place.
Trying to reach back, the question I posed to them was how they visualized this hunt before they left, and what they expected it to be.
This is the type of surrounding that I kind of pictured. Basically, after looking at Google Maps of the area and having a pretty good idea that there's lots of water, lots of ponds around, I thought it would be fairly easy going to get into these places.
I had visualized pretty close to what this place is, and it's an area that's surrounded by logging and industry. It's full of logging roads and a fair bit of traffic from other hunters and loggers and all that. So it's very much what I expected, but part of the reason for going along on this hunt was to give myself the opportunity to see this.
I figured we'd have a lot more easier access, but I visualized rolling hills like we've been bushwhacking through. Not as much road access. Didn't think there'd be as much active logging, that's for sure. But no, it's kind of exactly as I pictured it. Lots of little lakes and swamps. Lots of ground to cover.
It seems that it's like so far from the reality, it's almost funny, but given the amount of open seasons up here, we thought that mule deer and whitetail was a huge possibility. And the moose as well, given the amount of, as soon as you hit a certain region up in BC, you just see nothing but moose crossing signs and on the highways, and I don't know, it's just caribou's kind of known for them. So that was kind of what we were thinking, was we were going to see some moose and some deer.
You can look at Google Maps all day long and try and get a sense for a hunting area that you've never been into before. But until you arrive, you really don't know what you're getting yourself into.
I couldn't believe how thick it was. Like, everything is just, it's either clear cut within the last probably year, or it's just thick, overgrown.
Just as soon as we got off the main road, it was just, nothing but trees and you couldn't see through anything. So I think, as soon as you start heading into the wilderness up here, you start realizing that things are going to be a lot tougher than you thought.
It's pretty. It's like anywhere else in the Caribou. There's lots of timber and kind of on a plateau, but you can see mountains sort of in the distance all around you. Yeah, it's definitely different from where we're coming from in the Okanagan.
You come off the highway and actually you turn right next to a big logging mill, and it's just stacked with beautiful wood, lumber, freshly harvested trees as far as the eye can see across there. And the roads in here were really good, so that was a bit of a concern, was, how are the roads going to be? What's going to be like if we get snow? Is that going to be a problem? And I don't think any of that would have been a problem. So, yeah, and then getting into camp, we got in here pretty late, and it's a beautiful little lake that we're set up on. So, being in this camp, you can sort of pretend you're somewhere far off, which is nice, and the fishing's good here and all that. So.
So we found a wreck site on a beautiful lake, an area that looked like it had some promise. So here's our thoughts on the area that we chose and its pros and cons.
I don't know why I didn't grab a fucking newspaper.
I don't know why you didn't either.
The camp's great. It's got all the stuff we need. It's got tables, it's got a shit house, it's got fire rings, which is handy when we're all staying in tents. It's just nice to have a common area and some tarps set up and all that. So it's a good little rec site.
As far as access, it was difficult every morning getting up, and I think it's 5.5 to the main road.
Yeah, it's 5.5 out from the lake, just so you can hit one of the other access roads and then kind of move on from there. So you have to do that every morning and every night, and that's something that kind of cuts into the efficiency of the hunt.
The camp seemed good, being right on a lake. Once we got in, we kind of realized that we were in a bit of a hole in the shade. Didn't get any sun all day long, so being in camp is pretty cold. It's nice to have that canoe access right from camp, but that access hasn't really given us too much. Both ends of the lake are, the streams at both ends of the lakes are blocked by beaver dams and can't really get too far.
Canoes, I am glad that we brought the canoes. There's quite a few areas that we got into where we would have needed the canoes for retrieval. Sometimes we went over like two different, you go past a swamp to another lake, and if the animal was on the other side of that lake, well, you'd need probably both of the canoes. And it's just nice to be able to get out and fish and paddle along the lake like I'm doing right now.
The canoes are cool. They're picturesque on this lake. We got good pictures. And I went out there, like I said, caught some fish. First couple days we canoed into one end of the lake and hiked in from there. So it's cool. It's a good experience. I don't think we utilized them quite as much as we had planned. Once we realized we had to cover a lot of ground, the canoe was kind of not the tool of choice. So I think we could have done without them, but it wasn't a ton of effort to bring them up here. So
in an effort to make this somewhat of a physically challenging hunt, we decided to strap on the boots and do a bit of bushwhacking.
You're way too loud. If there is anything around, you're definitely going to spook it. It's thick, nasty stuff. It's hard going. Beats the shit out of your gear, and I don't think it's worth it as far as trying to get in on any animals.
You can bushwhack, make a lot of noise. Takes you an hour just to, get a few hundred yards, and you're crossing beaver dams and walking through water and doing all this stuff, and you're scaring everything out of the, meadow or creek in the process. Yeah, it just sucks. It's too bad there aren't some trails around here.
That's one of the things you start to realize when you come here is there's no hiking trails. I don't think there's probably one hiking trail. I checked all the maps and stuff like that, and nothing shows up. It's noisy. You're going through a maze of willows, and then if you get into cuts that have been replanted, the trees have been planted so close together, it's damn near impossible to get through some of them, so you're down crawling on your hands and knees, and it's pretty crazy. You only have a couple options. One, you make use of the canoe, and that only gets you so far. And then the other option is you make use of a vehicle and make use of the roads. So it doesn't mean you can't walk and get into areas on foot, but you're always using roads to get to where you want to go, and there's no way around it, and everybody else is using those roads.
Logging and industry, and that is a big part of what happens here in British Columbia. So it is something you sort of have to expect, but something you can't really prepare yourself for until you're actually there.
I don't have that. You think it's doable? Or should we not fuck around?
What's the
reward? Probably isn't one. That's what I'm thinking too. I'll just drive around backwards then.
There's a shit ton of logging out here. Like, everything's got a road into it. They're just clearing every side of the mountain, everywhere you go. I definitely think it's helping with the predator population. They're a lot easier access. They're chasing down, obviously, moose and deer, and taking care of a lot of the ungulates, that's for sure. I think it's definitely impacting the populations.
Lots of road density here. I don't really mind the main stretches, and I know we're gonna have logging. That's just the way it is. But I do think they need to, deactivate and rejuvenate those roads once they're done with them. Not just throw some cement blocks on there and let it go, right? Like, I think there has to be a better way to try to rejuvenate those roads, and they're just highways for the wolves. We've seen a ton of wolf sign and a ton of bear signs, so we're hearing wolves at night howling. So I don't know. I just feel like they have to do something about the roads once they're done.
It's pretty shocking when you think you're pretty deep into the bush, but you can hear the machines logging, and they're miles away, but you can hear them as if they're a couple hundred meters away. It's the sound really carries up here, and there's roads everywhere, and not just side roads, old spur logging roads, but like main heavily used logging roads. So yeah, I can't help but think that it does have an impact on the wildlife.
There's actually more roads than I thought here, and it just is what it is. I don't really know what to say other than this is an area, and a lot of central BC, and a lot of BC for that matter, is, that's just, it's part of the industry. It's part of what keeps BC going is lumber. So, I'm pretty conflicted on it. I think there's got to be a better way to do this, and I don't think we're doing it, that's for sure. So I'm curious to look at other examples around the world and see how people are making logging and wildlife and habitat work together. This just doesn't seem like the right way to do it.
So you expect and hope to see certain types of wildlife especially the type of wildlife you're pursuing. We saw quite a range of stuff, a lot of it quite unexpected actually, and each of us saw a little something different while we were out there.
Let's see. Well, this morning we saw a cow moose, which is the first moose that any of us have seen in the 8 days or so that we've been up here. So that was encouraging. Good way to start the day. Sitting out here this morning, we thought was a hawk flying really close to the ground all over this meadow. Hunting, I'm sure. But it got pretty close to me, and I think it might have actually been an owl. It had a really flat face on it and kind of eyes sunken into the feathers, so that was pretty cool. We saw a couple of lynx together yesterday. Mike and I were driving down an old quiet road, and there'd been some grouse around, but all of a sudden a white kind of shadow goes across the road in front of us, and we stopped, and then we realized that there's another whitish thing sitting on the road, and
the other one came out. I feel like it was a male and a female, because the one that came back out onto the road, she actually she came up to the second one, and she was rubbing up against him and kind of being a little frisky. It was cool to watch. So they just, they knew we were there, but they just kept an eye on us, and eventually they just got up and trotted off the side of the road. So that was pretty cool. Owls, coyote, heard a ton of wolves. Tons of wolf signs, so it's been pretty interesting just to see some different animals and that out here.
If this was a lynx hunt, I think we'd all have one by now. Pretty cool to see those critters walking around. We had the binos on them. They seem pretty relaxed as well. They don't really care you're there. They just keep an eye on you. A few mule deer, that's about it. So it's been a bit disappointing on that front.
Tons of grouse. There's been lots and lots of grouse. Helped with making the mountain house taste a little better.
There's one activity that seems to bring up morale and keep things fun while you're on a hunt, especially when you're not seeing the animals that you want to see. Grouse hunting, for most of us, I think everybody who goes out enjoys taking a few forest chickens and incorporating those into meals.
We managed to get quite a few grouse. I think between Kevin and I, we got at least 8 of them, maybe even 10. And it's been fun just to cook those up every night. Well, not every night, but on the odd night, just to switch up meals and have some fresh meat like that, and share it with the boys. And it's just kind of a good way to bring up morale and kill some time and that. So grouse hunting's been a lot of fun for me, and we've had spruce and rough. They're actually quite a bit different. The meat on the rough grouse is like a lighter color. The spruce is quite dark, and the flavor, the taste between the two of them is a lot different. So it's just kind of cool to try and cook those with what you have up here and see if you can make a good dish. So I've really enjoyed that part of it.
I have harvested 3 grouse now, I believe it is. Yeah, really proud of myself for those. They tasted delicious. Glad to have got them.
Oh,
Packing and preparing for a hunt can be very difficult. You don't want to bring too much, but you also don't want to leave important items behind. I think each one of us struggled with what to bring and what not to bring. Some of us wanted to keep this streamlined. Some of us wanted to make this more comfortable. So I think we all brought what we needed to make this hunt what we wanted it to be.
I would like to get some down pants. I do have the Sitka down hoodie that I've been wearing around. And that thing is like you're walking with your sleeping bag on. It's unreal. Something similar for your legs would be nice. But, and Kyle brought up a lot of useful stuff here for camp. So, we've been good on that front. And I think other than that, pretty good. Just, a couple other things to keep you warm, to keep you comfortable. Certain types of hot drinks and maybe a little more variety of that kind of stuff. And you just want to keep yourself comfortable in the mornings, really.
I came pretty prepared. I had a lot of new gear, which I tested out, which worked out well. I was fairly comfortable other than the cold temperatures, but I think I did everything I could have. A wall tent would have been nice.
On the gear side of things, I'm really happy with all the stuff that I brought. There's nothing I feel like I left behind clothing-wise. All my new Sitka stuff has been really good. I've just kind of been wearing base layer pants on the bottom, 2 pairs of socks is what I always do, and then base layer on top, hoodie, and then the Jetstream jacket on top of that, and I've been warm. Same with nighttime, I just wear a hoodie and my base layer. It's been good. The nights are definitely getting colder, so that, I'd have to change up my clothing for that a little bit if we were going to stay a bit longer, but that's all been good. So I'm happy with everything I brought. My meals have been really good, so I don't think I would change too much.
I do wish I brought some better food. I've been thankful for the grouse and bear sausage supplied by Mike and Kelly's spring bear hunt. I think I underpacked, or I packed a little light when it comes to food, because I was kind of envisioning a lighter hunt overall. I think somebody sort of steered me in that direction, saying I didn't need all this. But no, overall, I feel well fed. I don't feel hungry or anything, and I've been warm enough. So yeah, all's good.
A lot of elements and factors that can determine the amount of animals you see, the types you see, and where you spot them. Here's our thoughts on how those things impacted our hunt.
It's really tough to say. Early October, the weather, I know, back in the Okanagan, the weather was pretty cool. Got cold really quickly. And then the second half of the month, it's kind of warmed up again, and we've been up here, and every day it's been, into the low teens, even up to 15, I think, one day. It's probably unusual to be this warm at this time of year, and I'm sure it's having its impact.
Mornings are nice and cool, but I think a change in the weather would have made a big difference. Obviously, the road density is probably a contributing factor. These animals, they probably realize they're being pursued. And, it's not only us making use of the roads, there's wolves. Like, we've seen wolf sign and stuff like crazy, and coyote and grizzly bears and everything. They're all using the roads too. So I think, if there are animals out here, they're probably wise, and they're staying far away from that stuff, and we just can't really get off the roads. So it's a tricky situation.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying, all the logging and all the access, the amount of bear sign and the amount of wolf sign we've seen, it's easier for the wolves to cover ground. A lot of the roads are damn near a paved highway. It's easy to chase something down when you're in a pack and you got wide open space to run.
When we came up here, we talked a lot about the First Nations wanting to ban moose hunting in this area. And, from our experience and the lack of moose that we've actually seen, and talking to other hunters as well, I don't know, they might be onto something. I just feel like if that is actually the case, then we all have to work together and limit moose hunting, across the board. It can't just be, one group that gets limited and the other, keeps taking all the moose out of the region. I think if moose is the priority, then we have to work together to help them out.
I think most hunters would agree that there's a bit of a balance between physical and mental challenges when you're out in the bush.
don't know how much I think as far as what I've learned from this trip, I don't know if I figured that out yet. I think it's going to take a bit of time to get back and reflect on this trip. The mental challenges definitely come from sitting in one area all day. You start to wonder if you're, wasting time by investing in one area or if it's going to pay off at some point.
Nothing's guaranteed. When we leave here, I don't think I'm going to have any regrets on, how much ground we covered. But it is disappointing so far to not, come across any bull moose. So also just being in a new area, one for me that I know there's some grizz in here. So always kind of thinking about that a little bit, but I always find after a few days, you get acclimatized to everything mentally, and it's ultimately been a great trip so far.
Every day we've learned a little something, or even if we're not seeing moose out here, I feel like just being out in their habitat and seeing sign, following tracks, you just kind of learn something new every day, and it is worth the experience even if we don't get anything. It's been fun. It's been sort of an up and down of emotions. I'll speak for myself, but I think we've all been feeling that way, that there's points where you're just wondering what the hell's going on, ready to pack it in and thinking about going home empty-handed. But then, like this morning, that cow pokes out and all of a sudden you're right back into it. And
This is a good eye-opener. This is my first big trip I've ever done for hunting. So it was a big steep curve to learn, but it helped out. You guys were a good hand helping me out and teaching me things along the way. Other than our bear spray incident, I think we had a pretty good, successful trip. Still got all my fingers and toes, so...
So you never really know what to expect when you get into a new area. You might fall in love with it, or you may never want to come back again.
I don't think I would come back to this management unit again. There's no real reason for me to do it. It's just not the kind of place that I want to hunt at this stage in my life. I think it has its purpose for some people, but not for me.
maybe not this particular management unit. It feels like we're sort of limited as to where we can go, and the amount of traffic and human presence in the area is a bit much.
I think I'd be going to somewhere else, somewhere that maybe had a park or some trails to help you out.
I mean, maybe we just came at the wrong time or missed the rut, but I don't know, just the lack of animals, I don't think I would come back. I'd probably try somewhere else.
So as you might have figured out by this point, we're coming home with no meat. This moose hunt was unsuccessful if you look at it from a moose angle. But as you've heard through these responses to these questions, I think we all came back with quite a bit, good or bad. We got a lot from it. But how does it feel to return without meat?
Returning home without any meat, yeah, like I said previously, it's tough to think about investing that much time and being away from home and little kids and my wife and not being able to bring anything home makes me feel a little dejected. It is what it is, I guess.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the sheep hunt we went on, there was that experience factor. We didn't get meat. And, we'll still remember that experience for the rest of our lives. I feel like with this one, it doesn't bring as much of that experience. It's great to hang out with the guys and get away, hang out in nature. You have all that, but, there's just a little bit lacking in the sense of the experience with a hunt like this. So when you treat it like a meat hunt and you don't get any meat, it's definitely a bit of a burn, but nothing's guaranteed. Success rate isn't 100%, and that's hunting.
It's tough. It's tough for sure. It's hard to go home to your family and be like, we didn't get anything. It makes them wonder, like, well, what the hell are you guys doing up there? I think there's still a bit of thought of, like, the wildlife is just like everywhere in BC, especially in, central BC, but it's not the case. Not in this area, that's for sure. But we had a good time, great group of guys. I think that's what matters. I'm sitting in a beautiful spot in a canoe right now and sitting in the sunshine, so I can't really complain about it. This trip just is what it was, and I wouldn't go back and not come, let's put it that way.
I don't look at the trip as a failure. It was, just a good week to get away with the guys, met some new people. I'm not at work. Overall, it was a great trip. I can't complain at all.
It may take some time to let this hunt settle in. We've only been back actually for a few days as I record this, and we were still in the hunt as each one of us answered all of these questions. So I'm going to leave you with our concluding thoughts as we wrapped up the final day of our 2018 moose hunt in central British Columbia.
Concluding thoughts. Yeah, I think to summarize this hunt, it's been cold and there has not been many animals, so limited access, no animals, and extremely cold. That's my concluder for this one, is I wish there was more moose walking around. So cheers, guys.
Beautiful week away. It's a beautiful area. This is as far north as I've ever been in BC. Bit of an eye-opener for the terrain and what this province has to offer. Beautiful scenery. The lakes are really nice. Can't believe the amount of logging that's going on. They're just decimating like complete mountainsides. But yeah, other than that, it was a great trip. Good getaway.
It's been a long time planning for this and getting ready and getting excited and hopes up, and the thought of taking a moose, harvesting a moose, and bringing it home was at the tops of all our lists. And we've had a good time. We've put in a lot of work every day basically. So again, we've learned a lot, and we'll take a lot away from this experience. But it's less than satisfying to go home without anything. So I've had a great time with the guys though, Mike and Kelly and Kyle. Everyone sort of contributed something different, and it's really been a nice group of guys to hunt with. So I'm thankful for that.
I'd just like to thank all the guys, Kelly, Kevin, Kyle, for making this an awesome trip. We had a ton of laughs and some good meals, and nothing but good times, and we'll have some good memories from this one. And I think that's what's really important. I was pretty vocal about my thoughts on this hunt, and feeling like maybe I didn't even want to come originally, and thanks to Kelly, he kind of pushed me into just come, man, and get something out of it for yourself, whatever that is. And so I am glad that I came. It sort of makes it hard when conservation and hunting go hand in hand, and you're really conflicted about the area you're hunting and the type of hunting, and it's a real mind fuck, to say the least. But it's good to come up here and experience it, because then you start to think about, well, how could we as residents in BC make this better? Because if we don't change something now and our wildlife numbers continue to decrease, which they're doing in this particular area, well, then we're not going to be able to hunt anymore. There's no wildlife, and that would be a sad day. So I think we all just need to look at the issues. It doesn't matter if you're in BC or the US or New Zealand or Australia. I know there's guys listening to this from all over the place. Just think about the issues that exist in your neck of the woods and come up with a plan and get people engaged to make a change.
Music in this episode came from my friends in Tiger Moon. You've heard from them before. These were stripped down versions of songs from their album, Caribou and Whiskey. It seemed fitting to include songs from this record because we actually recorded it just down the road from where we're hunting in Barkerville, BC. If you liked what you're hearing, you can support those guys. I've put a link to their Bandcamp page in the show notes. Go and check them out. It's an awesome album. I'm proud of that one. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, well, it was a hell of a lot of work. So you can do some stuff in return. You can head over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. You can buy a Rookie Hunter t-shirt, and you can reach out to our sponsors and let them know that you heard of them through us. We're going to be doing a recap on this episode next week, so if you have any questions about our moose hunt, you can send us an email. Our email address is info@therookihunter.com. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Don't you fret now, darling, don't you pine in my ear. Sit back and relax and enjoy our golden years. Seven kings are eating chowder.